Hello and welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here. I hope you are all feeling well. Today we'll be dealing with current affairs as well as some mapping. So let's begin with the first topic. The topic is Nagar style and Ayodhya temple. This topic comes under our temple architecture or art and culture from GS1. So let's see. The Ram Mandir in Ayodhya has been inaugurated already on January 22nd. This is the name of the architect, the Chandrakant Sompura, and his son Ashish 51. The lead artist is 81 years old. So they have designed the complex in the Nagar style of temple architecture. This is the prime style of the northern architecture style or northern temple architecture style, and it is designed in the Maru Gurjar architecture of the Nagar style. So this can be a question that Maru Gurjar style is a famous sub-style of which type of architecture style. So the answer will be Nagar style. So this can be our first question from here. The Nagar style of temple architecture emerged sometime in the 5th century CE. That means around the Gupta period or the late Gupta period. So during this late Gupta period mentioned here in northern India, it is seen in juxtaposition. So what is the meaning of juxtaposition? When two objects are placed right next to each other and let's say compared with the Dravid style of southern India, which two emerged in the same period. All right. So the next thing is, just a second, that Nagar and Dravid may be called styles, but they cover vast areas in time spans. Aramhari wrote in his highly influential The Temple Architecture of India, published in 2007. So what he says that instead of styles, he refers the two as two great classical languages of Indian temple architecture. So this can be a question in itself, that Nagar or the Nagara and Dravidian styles are not actually styles but languages. Justify this statement. So what does he say? He says that languages seem a more suitable term, in that each is a system providing a vocabulary, a kit of parts along with the grammar which regulates the ways of putting the parts together. So what he wants to say is the language has two parts. One is the, let's say, words or vocabulary. Second is the grammar. So these two things dictate that how some parts in architecture will be made and how they will be put together upon or next to each other. So this is how the difference in the language between the Dravidian and the Nagar style has dictated the the difference in the architecture or final architecture styles. Okay, let us first understand a common style of the Indian temple architecture. So this here we see the shikhara. Shikhar comes from the shikh or shikha, that means the peak. Alright, the next thing we see is gopuram. Gopuram essentially means a dome. Now in some temples in Nagar style it is situated or located on a different part. In the Dravidian style it is located sometimes outside or the first thing on the temple and the gate itself. The third thing we see is a vimana. Alright, so vimana is a feature of Dravidian style actually. So instead of the shikhara, which is more prominent here in the Nagar style, the vimana are more prominent here in the Dravidian style. Then the Garbhagriha is a common feature for both. It is located right in the center of the temple. Alright, and it is often accessible through a hallway. The hallway is known as the Toran. It is built beneath a mandapa. The mandapa is this structure, the roof of the hallway, and then there is a stambh. A stambh means a pillar. The pillar is prominently found in the Hoysala style or the Vaisara style of the Dravidian architecture. Alright, let's move forward and focus upon the architecture of the Ram temple. So here we see the top flag or the Dhwaj, and on the top we see a Kalash here. Beneath the colors, we see the most important feature of the Nagar style, that is an elaborated shikhar. And the shikhar style is a Meru style or Meru Gurjar style. In the beneath or under this all, the shikhar especially, we see a sanctum sanctorum, that is Garbhagriha. The word comes from the womb, means Garbha, where the idol is located. And all of this is accessible through a hallway here, which is known as Toran. And there are multiple mandaps here, the mandap number 1, 2, and 3. These are all mandaps for this hallway. Alright, there's a further mandap here and a small hallway this side also for accessing the sanctum sanctorum ultimately. There is a circumambulatory pathway known as the parikrama. Alright, let's move forward. We cannot see a gopuram or pillar here. Now let's move forward towards the Dravidian style. Here you can see elaborated pictures of Dravidian brackets. The brackets are often found at the end of the lanters which support the structure like this. What we see here is a shikhar, but it's minuscule and very small and takes part of the kalash. However, the elaborated part of the shikhar which we see in the Nagar style is replaced by a vimana. So vimana is very conspicuous and identifiable feature of the Dravidian style, and it is highly elaborated. Then we see at the end there is a Garbhagriha or the sanctum sanctorum where the idol is located. The parikrama remains the same and the mandapa is again very elaborated, passing through a hallway. Alright, then there is a gopuram, usually towards the door of the temple here at the entry gate. And these gopuram in some temples are very elaborated, very artistically designed, and are architectural marvels, a sight to behold. Then there is a Nandi Mandapa, often found here, let's say, and there are multiple different things, but a pillar is also located in this part of the temple, an elaborated pillar like this. And the higher the pillar, the higher it tells about the glory of the temple. Alright, Dravidian Vimana consists of multiple different parts, such like Stoop, Katha, Prastham, and different parts further. Alright, this is a depiction of the Brihdeshwar temple. This is a very famous temple. Alright, what we see here again is a depiction of the Dravid style, and it's the same thing that we have already studied: a gopuram, a mandap, a garbhagriha, and very elaborated vimana, and on the top a shikhara. The same thing we see here in this diagram: the capstone or the kalash, the viman, the axis, the mandapa, and the plinth. Alright, this is a depiction. Here you can see a picture of the vimana. So vimanas are very elaborately built in the Dravidian style temples, and vimana are the prime feature of the Dravidian style. The shikhara, however, are the pramukh or prime feature of the Nagar style. Let's move forward, distinguished by towering shikhar. So Naga temples are built on a raised plinth, with the Garbhagriha or the Sanctum Sanctorum, where the idol of the deity raised, the most sacred part of the temple. Towering over the Garbhagriha is the shikhar. Shikhar literally means a mountain peak, which is the most distinguishable aspect of Nagar style temples. As the name suggests, shikhars are human-made representation of the natural and cosmological order, as imagined in the Hindu tradition. So they basically show or display a path towards the upside, or heaven, or whatever we call the metaphysical. Now please remember that Meru, Mandara, and Kailas are the first three names among us the 20 types of temples described in the early texts. All three are the names of the mountains, which is the axis of the world. Stella Kramschik wrote in her pioneering work The Hindu Temple Volume 1 published in 1946. In these names arises the temple, the image, the aim, destination of the world edifice. So this is very important. Please remember these three names at least: Meru, Mandara, and Kailash. They are the type of Nagar style of temples or subtype of Nagar style of temples, especially dealing with the architecture of the Shikhar. And Shikhar is the prominent feature of the Nagar style. A typical Nagar style temple also comprises a circumambulatory passage around the Garbhagriha and one or more mandap on the same axis as it. Elaborate murals and reliefs often adorn its walls. Adorn means make beautiful or increase the beauty of. 5 models of Nagar architecture. So this is very important again. So depending on the period and geography, there's a large variation when it comes to what a shikhar looks like or how it is used in a temple design. On this basis, Hari identifies 5 models of Nagar temple architecture, which are the Balavi style, Famsana style, Latina style, Shekhari style, and the Bhumija style. So please remember these 5 styles are of the Nagar architecture styles. The first two are associated with what scholars have classified as early Nagar style, which Balavi and Famsana. The Balavi begins as a masonry rendering of the barrel-roofed wooden structure, simple or with aisles, familiar through chaitya halls, prayer halls. This is associated with the Buddhist architecture actually. So please remember, Badami caves are also very important. A formalization of multi-eave tower varying to piling up of slabs leading to the Formasana. Furthermore, here you can again see a different depiction of the Nagar style. This is the Kalash, then Amalaka, or what we call Gopuram in the Dravidian style. These are the architecture of Khajuraho temples. Alright. So this is the shikhar or the tower, which is very elaborated. Multiple shikhars are there. You can see here is one, then there's one, and the main shikhar. So this is the Garbhagriha shrine inside here. Parikrama or circumambulation here. Alright, Jagati is the platform or which shows the jug or this world. This is the Adhistan, the base platform. Alright, the mandaps here, there are multiple mandaps here as you can see. The Ardh mandap or the entrance porch, this is the half mandap. The antral or the vestibule. Antral means basically a gap between the mandap and the sanctum sanctorum. Alright, this is also found in some temples. There are Urushringa or subsidiary shikhars also. So please remember all these things. Alright, the temple often face east towards the sun. So we have already dealt with the Balavi style and the Famasna style. Now we come to the Latina. We see a single shikhar which is slightly curved. Alright, like this. So this mode emerged in the Gupta heartland and was complete with curvature by the early 7th century. And during that century spread across the entire breadth of northern India. For 3 centuries, it reigned supreme, the peak literally of Naga temple architecture. Now what do we see further development? The 10th century onwards, composite Latinas begin to emerge, giving rise to Shekhari and Bhumija styles. The Shekhari shape has attached sub-spires or spiralets, like this, let's say. Alright, echoing the main shape. These may run up to the most of the face of the Shikhara and be of more than one size. The Bhumija, on the other hand, has miniature spires in horizontal and vertical rows, all the ways to the top, creating a grid-like effect on each face. The actual Shikhara often approaches a pyramidical shape with the curvature of Latina less visible. So these are basically development from the Latina or Latina shape. So basically, let's say this is the shape, and now if you give it spiracles, then it becomes the Bhumija shape, Shekhari shape, sorry. And if you give it horizontal spiracles like this, then it becomes the Bhumija shape. So it just gives it a Ginza type shape. Okay, so just remember the names of the 5 styles of the Nagar architecture. Important to note that these modes are somewhat simplified scholastic classifications. Temple architects of Yo did not consciously choose to adhere to any mode. They simply followed and innovated on existing designs. So this was simple development in the architectural technique which they saw was beautiful. Consequently, there is also immense variation within these modes. Temple can even contain multiple kinds of shikhara on the top of a simple structure, with the tallest always begin on the top of the Garbhagriha. So this is very important, that idol or the main shikhar is always on the bottom of the main shikhar, let's say the idol. Comparison to the Dravid style now. The Dravid counterpart to the Shikhara is the Vimana. There exists, however, a fundamental difference. So let's see what is the difference between this Shikhara and Vimana. So in the Dravida style temples, Vimana are typically smaller than the great gate houses or Gopurams. Alright, so Gopuram is the main Viman there. You can see in multiple temples in the south, which are the most immediately striking architectural elements in the temple complex. Moreover, while Shikhara are mentioned in southern Indian architectural sources, they refer to only the dome-shaped crowning cap atop the Vimana. So Shikhars are there, but they are very, very small, minuscule. The Vimana is main. And even Vimana is very small when considered to Gopurams. The existence of Gopuram also points to another unique feature of the Dravidian style, the presence of a boundary wall. Few Nagar style temple complexes are lined with distinctive boundary walls that are part of the temple's design. So this is one of the Ayodhya's Ram temple's hybrid features. Although there is no elaborate Gopuram built, but a 732-meter long wall runs around the temple compound. So basically, let's say this is the temple and this is the wall. Now what you can see in southern style temples, there is an elaborated Gopuram here. Alright, a very long towering type face, inside of which even the temple is not visible, only this Gopuram is visible. Only after you come inside the temple, the main temple is visible, and it's located far, let's say, below this. Alright, inside this, the complex. But in Ayodhya, what is happening? That there is a wall around the temple, but there's no Gopuram here. The main temple can be seen. Alright, let's move forward to the next news. Very quickly, we'll see free movement regime between India and Myanmar. So I hope you are all clear about this Dravidian style and Nagar style now. So we are moving to the next news, that is free movement regime FMR between the India and Myanmar. So Home Minister Amit Shah said that 1643-kilometer India-Myanmar border would soon be fenced. He also said that the free movement regime agreement with Myanmar would be reconsidered to stop border residents from moving into each other's country without any paperwork. Let's see what is FMR. So much of India's present-day northeast was temporarily under Burmese occupation until the British pushed them out in the 1800s. The victors and the vanquished signed the Treaty of Yandabu in 1826. So please remember this fact. In 1826, the Treaty of Yandabu was signed between the Burmese and the British, leading to the current alignment of the boundary between India and Burma, later renamed Myanmar. The border divided people of the same ethnicity and culture. Essentially, they were the same thing, same people, but they were divided because of this boundary making by the British. Colonial legacy, we can say now. Specifically, the Nagas of the Nagaland and Manipur and the Kukichin Mizo communities of Manipur and Mizoram without their consent. In some stretches, the border split a village or a house between the two countries. Okay, so let's talk about this specific thing here, the border between Myanmar and India. So you can see Assam here, then Arunachal Pradesh here, is the Nagaland, then Manipur, Mizoram. There are two more states, here Tripura, and here Meghalaya. Alright, so there has been a widespread violence in Manipur because of the, let's say, immigration from Myanmar, and here communities, there's Methi community and Kukichin community, which comes from, let's say, Myanmar and lives in this Naga Myanmar area. And Manipur's, we have already studied that it is a valley-like region, valley and surrounded by hills. So in valley there are Methi people living, and in the hills there is Kukichin people living, and they are coming from Myanmar also. So there has been, let's say, violence between them because of the ST-SC representation and reservation issues and multiple different property issues. Alright, land buying rights. So these are the issues in the Manipur. You can read about it them. It's a separate topic. What we now need to know is that there is a 1643-kilometer long border right from Arunachal Pradesh and extending till the base of Mizoram. However, the violence is going on in Manipur. So, worry of increasing Chinese influence in the Myanmar, New Delhi began working on improving diplomatic ties. So, the FMR came about in 2018 as a part of our Act East policy. What does FMR do? It allows people living on the either side of border to travel up to 16 kilometers inside each other country without a visa. A border resident needs to have a border pass valid for a year to stay in the other country for about 2 weeks per visit. The FMR also envisaged the promotion of localized border trade through custom stations and designated market apart from helping the people of Myanmar access better education and healthcare facilities on the India side of the border. So let's talk about why is FMR being reconsidered. So apart from a 10-kilometer stretch in Manipur, the India-Myanmar border through hills and jungles is unfenced. That means it's porous. And not only porous, it's completely open rather. The security forces have for decades grappled with members of extremist groups carrying out the hit and run operations from their clandestine means hidden, bases in the Chin and Saging region of Myanmar. So Myanmar, we can see there are multiple influences, especially the Chinese influence. So China provides guns to these people, the extremist people or extremists simply. They come in India, they do their job, whatever is there, and go back. All right, so it's sort of a hit and run, and our security agencies go behind them and cannot catch them sometimes. So the ease of the cross-border movements, even for the MFR was in place, was often flagged for inward trafficking of drugs, outward trafficking of wildlife body parts. So it's basically a mess that FMR has made. So the trigger for the rethink on the FMR was the conflict that broke out between the Meitei and the tribal Kuki-Zo communities in Manipur in May 3, 2023. It has been going on since. So over the past decade, the Manipur government has been expressing concern over the influx of the Myanmar nationals, a euphemism for Kukijins. So Kukijins are the people who live in Myanmar Valley mostly and come to India, especially in the Manipur. The theory gained currency after the conflict, which coincided with a few hundred Myanmar nationals taking refuge in Manipur to escape a civil war back home. In September 2023, Manipur Chief Minister Biren Singh blamed the ethnic violence on the free movement of Myanmar nationals, basically FMR. So it has been suspended on April 1, 2020 during the COVID-19 lockdown. The suspension was extended after the military coup in Myanmar, and on the other hand, have accused the chief minister of branding the community as illegal immigrants and a narco terrorist. All right, so it's basically a very complex topic that we cannot pass any judgment upon. Just remember what is FMR, what is the geographical mapping here, what is the borders here, and you can read separately about this whole issue of the violence. All right, so this is the scale of violence or migration. We can see the civil war in the neighboring country forced some 40,000 people in the Mizoram, unlike Manipur made them feel at home primarily due to their ethnic affiliation. So they have come to Mizoram, but Manipur, they have some ethnic conflicts with the native population of Meiteis. Now let's see why are Mizoram and Nagaland opposed actually to ending the FMR. Because of the Naga population here and because of the Kuki population here. So let's see, Mizoram Chief Minister says that government does not have the authority to stop the center from fencing the India-Myanmar border for perceived security threat and scrapping the FMR, but said he was opposed to the move. So according to him, the border was imposed by the British to divide the people belonging to the Zo ethnic stock. We Mizo share ethnic ties with Chin people across the border. We have the right to live together simply. And the same thing is with the Nagaland. So what does Nagaland say? It is crucial for India to acknowledge the historic truth that these territories between the Chindwin River in Myanmar and the Saramati mountain in Nagaland. So please just remember geographically where they locate. I have located on the map here. This is the Chindwin River in the Myanmar. And this is the Saramati peak in the Nagaland. So it's basically the Naga territory what we are talking about. This part between the Myanmar and India, it is the Naga territory, and Nagaland is completely opposite or in oppose to stopping this FMR or fencing the border because of the relation between ethnic people. So next things we'll deal in the next lecture. I hope this lecture was good for you. Thank you very much for your time. This is Yatharth signing off. Have a good day. See you again.